One other thing I'll do sometimes to adjust at this point is, let's say I do want to account for the warmth of her hair in the shadows of her face, because they would be warmer around her hair. So because we did all those shadows on their own layer, 2-finger hold on that layer will make a selection. So I can now pick, let's say, just a gray color, which it's really just stripping the color out of it. And you can see by brushing over that, it's starting to warm up. I didn't really change the value that much. I just changed the saturation level, because pure gray is going to reveal more what's underneath. So it's a nice way to get some variety without having to work very hard. Again, I want to talk a little bit about bounce light and reflected light, rim lights a little bit here, just a way to dress things up a little bit more. At any point, you can bail on this sort of thing. It's like if you do a shadow layer and that's it, great. If you just want to do a layer of lights, that's it. You want to leave it flat, fantastic. So these are just, maybe you got a little bit bigger page rate on this cover. You want to really push the detail. What all can you do? So first thing I'll do is talk about bounce light or reflected light. I like to call it bounce light because to me it just makes more sense. And a really good way to decide where your bounce light should go is to contain them to your shadows. Because think about it, your direct light is not bounce light. The only place the bounce light you're really going to see, if you're splitting it up, is going to be in the shadows from your direct light. I know that sounds like a lot, but if you really think about it, it's very, very simple. So I'm going to 2-finger hold on my shadows that I just made. And sorry, you can ignore all of this white that I accidentally painted. You might see pop up on the selection. But again, everything you see there that is very dark is what is selected. Okay, so when I switch to a brush, anything that I do is once again going to be contained to those shadows, right? So this is just another sort of shortcut that you can do. And so let's just think about this. What color might reflect in the shadow of her jacket? Okay, we know it's going to be lighter than what's there. So we know it's going to be at least that bright. So I'm going to get, let's say, again, halfway to white. And if the floor is white, which I think it is here, it's probably going to be a bright color. And so I'm not going to shift the hue too much here. I think in the original I did it a little bit toward green just for the sake of having it a little bit different. So if I start adding a little bit of that green into this area where it would reflect, it really looks pretty cool. Now again, it's not everywhere. Maybe we get a little bit over here, but it shouldn't just fill every part of every shadow. That's a quick way of making it look boring. And this is really close to the value that's there, so I don't really have to worry too much about specifics. But it already sort of feels like the light's bouncing off the floor, right? And maybe we do some of this up here, underside of her nose, maybe. It really starts to add a lot of dimension. I'm going to select the hair now. And I'm just using that same just cool color and start throwing it around on the underside of the hair. And it really starts to add volume to the hair almost immediately. Now up here, maybe we don't want to go that cool. Maybe we want to warm it up because it's, near the skin. So, so maybe those reflections are a little bit warmer. Another type of light that I think is really fun to play with are just really sharp rim lights. This is not really a situation where I would probably use one, I don't think. But I will sometimes change the vibe up, like maybe in an action scene or something, if I accidentally selecting things. Let's say I start with a really sharp edge there. Actually, let's do this on the shadow side. Sort of tracing down this way. I don't know how much of her neck would actually get covered there. Let me pick a little spot of light on her nose. Maybe right here. Maybe right there. Then I switch to the brush. Again, not really fitting for this particular situation. It's not really bright enough either, but yeah, if we go like really bright, maybe change the color up. You could see that being useful somewhere, next to a fire or something. And it doesn't have to be a solid color. Of course, we could go into this rim light. Say pick that yellow, get brighter, add some light parts to it. That'll make it look even hotter. And then one last thing I'll mention here on her skin that is usually very, very helpful. I've talked about this in other courses, but is spreading a little bit of what we call subsurface scattering, okay? And so on a layer on top of everything so far we're working with here, I'm going to make a new layer here and set it to overlay. Now this is a bit of a cheat, but it's a good cheat. Overlay mode is great for shifting the tint and the hue of things without affecting the value very much if you know how to use it. And so I'm going to, on this overlay layer, I'm going to pick a big, maybe soft airbrush type brush. I should have one. And I'm going to choose the base skin tone. That's a good place to start. I'm going to start with the base skin tone, which in this case is kind of like a yellow orangey sort of color. That'll get you in the ballpark where you need to be. In overlay mode, it's sort of the opposite of hard light mode. In overlay, if you want to affect the tint without affecting the values very much, you want to choose colors that are near the middle, okay? Very bright colors are going to shift the colors quite a bit. Very dark colors in this mode will shift the colors quite a bit in very dramatic ways. Sometimes that can be cool, but not what we're doing here. So I'm gonna get about halfway. I'm gonna get about halfway up to 50%, roughly. It doesn't have to be exact. And I wanna warm this up a little bit because subsurface scattering is really about the blood under the skin, right? With my soft brush, with her skin selected, just right around her eyes and nose, I'm just gonna kind of tap this in a little bit. Really nose and cheeks and all that stuff. It's very subtle, off and on. I don't even think I did this on the original book. It was just another layer again, guys. And if again the color's not exactly right, you want to shift it around. It looks a little orange to me, so maybe we go this way. That looks good. I like that. So, what color is that? Purple, of course. But it's good for hair too. If I do like, if I grab the selection of her hair, and again, I want to just warm it up in places, it looks pretty good just to warm up hair, especially like brunette hair, blonde hair, warm it up. Looks pretty awesome. And you're like, oh no, I overdid it. Turn it down. Just turn the saturation down. Turning the saturation will effectively turn it off, or turning it up will crank it up. And you would go through, of course, each selection and go as deep into this as you want to get into. It doesn't really change anything for the background. Again, I would probably use my background selection layers here to take advantage of that. So I can two-finger hold the background. It's going to select all my backgrounds. I can choose any number of techniques that we've talked about today to get these shadows going. This is with a soft brush. You could use a hard brush, totally up to you. It's a little bit more dramatic this time. And have fun with it. Just because you chose a certain color doesn't mean everything has to be that color. You know, if I want to shift some of these shadows a little bit toward green, just to make it look different, make it look a little bit more interesting, maybe that works. You know, it's like reflecting a lot of green in the background now, you know. Maybe if she was facing the window and there were reflections coming in from outside or something, well, maybe these areas reflect a little warmer color, or maybe you leave them where they are.